How's it going, folks? Taylor Wachowski here. In today's video, I'm going to be going over some footage I shot while working with a family and their two dogs. The blonde dog that you see right here is Zeus, and the chocolate lab on the left is Lucy. And she's the sweetest little thing. She kisses everything, hence her harness. And she's not a problem at all. She's really Zeus's animal support, you know, his little ESA, emotional support animal. So you see, Zeus here has been attacked not too long ago by another dog at a dog park. So since then he has become much more reactive on leash. So usually we work with him on just his harness, but he's incredibly strong. If you don't know, dogs can pull 3 times their own weight. He is just about all that I can handle when he's really going after other dogs. So that's why we added a head halter to him. This one specifically hooks in the back of his head, so we're not, getting him under the chin or hitting him with any of their metal clips. And as you can see, I'm using 2 leashes here. The majority of the tension is on his harness. So I don't want to put hardly any tension on his head halter. That's only there for if he does lunge, so he doesn't knock me down and we don't get, drug into the wilderness to go after other dogs or squirrels. So right now you see me, he's moving back. I'm moving him back a little bit because he's pulling really hard on leash. So over time I hope to get him very sensitive to that pressure where it takes just a little bit to get him to move back. So here I'm not really yanking him. I'm using just enough pressure to get him to take a couple steps back. When he loosens that leash, then we can continue on our walk. So here again, you see I'm basically using reins with him. I'm keeping my right hand very loose. The left hand, I'm using just as much pressure as I need to get him to move back a couple steps. And then we go on our walk. Now I'm going to be mainly critiquing myself in this video. There'll be a little bit of critique of Zeus's owners, but mainly I'm going to be critiquing myself because I'm working with Zeus the most out of this video. And I'm going to tell you all things that I could have done better looking back at this footage. Now here he's pulling a bit, more than I would like, so I should have slowly walked up there a little bit slower to that bush, and his reward could be to go sniff and pee on it. So here I'm doing a little bit better. There we go. So my main goal is to make sure he's on a loose leash because he's already a nervous dog. He's in a new environment he's not used to. I need to make sure he's as comfortable as possible. I'm making sure to keep that head halter leash as loose as possible, much better, because we don't need him to be that much more anxious. Now, in the perfect world, I should have stayed here or in the back field. There's a field that we came across the bridge. We should have stayed there and just walked around there. Because you're going to see here in a moment, I kind of trap us up here. Not the end of the world, but something that I would prefer not to happen, especially with the owners. As you can see, Lucy, no problem. She's coming in. Hey, did you drop a treat for me, Zeus? She's too cute. Both of these babies are cute. So you see here, I'm trying to give Zeus some food. Obviously, he's not having it because he's over threshold. He's a little bit too interested in the environment. Okay, no problem. So that's red flag number 1 when you're working with your dog. If they don't take food, they're over threshold. So he could either use some sniffing as a reward, or he can, I should move him back to an area that's less stressful for him, where he can take food and really learn that that's reinforcing for him. So here he's going to come over here and pee, relieve himself, maybe mark, make himself feel a little bit better. Sniffing, that's totally fine, as long as he's on a loose leash. Good, he came in, got a snack. Now whether I know that he's being rewarded for coming back or not, we don't know. Okay, so that was more of a reward for him. He was able to come back, take that treat, stay there for a second. So I'm not sure what he saw. There's a lot of trails, a lot of people here. Granted, this is a Saturday at 2 p.m. So he barked a little bit, he calmed down. So this is the ideal place to stay here and then move a little bit back if he continues to react. So right here, he's barking. I should have backed up. I'm fumbling with the leashes. Okay, so he's barking, so back up. There we go. Good. He backed up. He's still a little bit nervous. Good, right there. Perfect. Oh, okay, he reacted again. So that means someone's probably crossing. There's a little bridge behind those trees over there. Good. So right there, I could have been telling him he's a good boy. He caught the trail of something, probably a squirrel. Okay, so he came over, he sniffed, he marked. So this right here is reinforcing for him because he wants to smell, so he doesn't need to have a treat. Could I move him further away to give him a treat? Sure. Okay, so here we have dog and a baby carriage coming by. So I've kind of cornered us in this area. I think there's a dog also coming to the right of me, behind me. So right here, recorded. This is what I was talking about earlier. Bad place to be. Okay, don't get your dog into a choke point like this where there's people coming on all ends. This is way over threshold for him. I'm doing the best I can to control him. So if this does happen, do this. Make sure he doesn't, lunge. Bring him back on leash just as much as you can. You're not jerking or popping. Again, you notice my hands are not getting super tight on the head halter, which is what you don't want to put a lot of your pressure on the head halter. You want most of it to be on the harness. So I could be explaining that to the folks here. So I think right now would be a great time to see if Zeus would take a treat. He probably won't because he's still very much into the people. So this would actually be a perfect time to go back away from this pressure. This is, warning sign, big warning sign number 1 that we're way too close to whatever stressors are going to make Zeus react. So I should have gone back into the other field behind us by the parking lot, and just stayed there for the whole lesson, honestly. If we can stand just like this is perfect. If you can stand here, maybe walk around the length of this little grassy field, and just wait for the stressors to be, at a good distance, and that's what we want. We don't want Zeus to do this right here. So I missed a good chance to take us back to another field when he was nice and calm. And now I think here's where we have 2 people coming. There's that stroller coming. Lucy's just getting treats. Good girl, Lucy. So Zeus is going crazy. So again, this here is my fault. I should have instructed everybody. Let's go to, so we have 2 people coming. Okay, so way too much for Zeus. Poor guy. You know what? I'm sorry, Zeus. This was my fault. You reacted, and it was entirely my fault. I'm using his head halter a little bit more because he's getting really, really going crazy. Not his fault at all. He's just being a dog. He's being nervous. He may want to play. To me, it kind of looks like play, but at the same time, firsthand, I would think that it's more of a fearful defensive posture. But with Zeus, he kind of does everything backwards. So he may want to play. He feels trapped with the leash, which is why I try to keep it loose as possible. So right here, since he's reacting, I'm letting him bark because he's not pulling. So that's one way you can do it. You can lower the amount that he's reactive. Right here, you see his tongue is hanging out, so he's really getting himself amped up. I don't like that. I don't like that I allowed that. I should have moved him back into the other field. So this is what you don't want to do. You don't want your dog to get so over threshold that they just get themselves into a tizzy and they get super anxious and worked up and they're out of breath and they're just huffing and puffing and they're really tired. That's an example of a wet saddle blanket done the wrong way. You can have a horse go for good miles, get some good learning in there, and they come back and they have a wet saddle blanket because they worked really well with their rider. They hung out, they learned a lot. Or you can have a wet saddle blanket in 10 or 15 minutes because you chase them around a round pen, you whip them a whole bunch, and they get so sweaty because they're so nervous. So not saying that, obviously nobody's trying to make Zeus like this. This is just, what happened. There's a biker there, there's a person coming. So I should have realistically just turned us around, gone back to the other field, found a nice little, quiet spot, and we would have just sat there and tried to counter condition this reaction. By counter conditioning, I mean, we literally just stand there. He's on a loose leash. He gets rewarded, where he can take treats, and he's actually learning that, just standing here doing nothing is actually rewarding. We can see people at a good distance from us. People may, be on a bike or walking or with dogs. He actually has a good distance, that he will react to animals. They have to be a good distance away from us. And he's coming down to get some water. So that could be a lot too. For him to really need some water. He gets anxious. He needs water. Being dehydrated can also lead to more anxiety. Now, he has been in the car for a couple of hours. Takes these folks, probably at least, maybe an hour or so, to get down here to my area. Usually I travel to them. They've been traveling down here because they're so kind. So they travel down here. So he's been in the car for a couple hours. They hang out with, family, do whatever. So he's, got some pent up energy. So here, he's pulling a bit. I shouldn't be allowing this because when he's pulling and he feels that tension, he's already getting himself amped up. So he sees something, so I'm backing him up. Again, at this point, I really should, good boy, Zeus. At this point, I really should be turning around because this is telling me way too many times all these red flags, and this is too much for him. So this is not what I would recommend that these folks do, by any means. This is pretty much a... Of course he's saying, this is mine, all this is mine. So his little, I guess his little head thing slipped off there. So we're fixing that now. But this is not what you typically want to do. What you really want to do is like I've been saying, go back to a nice little area. This is, I heard my mentor told me about the target. You imagine a target, the outer circle, then the inner circle, and then the center. So for us, we're probably in the inner circle, and that's too much for us. Clearly. So we should be on the outer edge of this new environment, just chilling, just walking around the outer edge. We want to prevent any of this from happening. If it does happen, then we need to move further out. And that will be our new perimeter, that we just hang out until he can be loose on leash. He's able to look at us. We can ask for simple behavior, a sit, maybe a down, look at us. He can see things. We can tell him leave it, and he looks back at us and holds eye contact. That would be the perfect step to graduate to the center circle. And you do the same thing there. You walk around slowly. You work your way up. It's a process, not an event. So you go ahead and make sure that he can stand there nice on leash, just like this, where he's nice and relaxed, not barking. He would look like Lucy. He should look like Lucy, the little chocolate lab. Totally fine, totally chill, just waiting for those treats, and all that good stuff. So here, he's pulling again. And I'll admit, I'm talking to these people. I'm not giving Zeus the attention that he needs. I'm not, he's getting away with behavior that I should be preventing, so he doesn't have to get himself in trouble. He doesn't, and by in trouble, I'm not correcting him. I'm just moving him back on leash. But he still gets reactive, and we don't want that. Okay, so over here, he just noticed an off-leash Aussie. I don't know if you can see that little black dot in the background. Now, this actually isn't too bad. He's laying down. He's feeling uncomfortable. Maybe because the dog is off-leash. He may or may not have been attacked while he was on leash by the other dog. Don't quote me on that, but either way, that makes it so much worse for him that he's trapped. So we have to teach him, all the more reason to stay in a peaceful area when he's learning leash skills again. So again, this is working too fast. I will absolutely admit that. We're trying to... We've been down one of these trails before, and he didn't do too bad. So this time we're going to try to see if we can go down an area that has less people. See if we can't accomplish more this time. So he's upset because his little friend left. So he's waiting for his human friend to come back. Lucy's just having a great old time. Okay, so he's not doing too bad here. Okay, so this would be a good example. You can start walking when he's like this with his body language. He's more focused on squirrels and things. This is more okay. This would be what you're looking for in the outer circle, the inner circle, wherever you are, even in the center. You want him to be able to be more focused on sniffing. He's getting a little bit tight on that leash, so he's maybe looking for people. But still, he's more under threshold than he was before. So this would be where this is as much as you want when you're in your circle or your state in that target, that imaginary target. This is controllable. You're basically teaching him just to walk on leash, so you could take your time teaching him not to pull. He's not focusing on people or bikes or squirrels or anything like that. So this is what the most that you want to see him interacting with the environment. If he starts barking and lunging and going crazy, okay, take that, keep it in mind, and turn back as soon as you can. You're not correcting him, you're not telling him anything because he's not going to hear it. There's no leave it, there's no pulling or hey or stop or anything like that. Just walk him away until he can, and it may be a good distance away from whatever it is that he freaked out by, whether it's a squirrel or a person or a bike, or whatever it is, leaf blowing in the wind. Back him up until he can easily stand on loose leash, just like this. You can call his name Zeus. He looks at you, perfect. You can reward him for that, and then work on sits and just stand time. You don't need to worry about a whole lot of obedience. I don't really care much for that when we're, working on getting his confidence up and teaching him to focus more on us, and that's much more reinforcing. So here he's coming over here to go smell. So he's still doing fine. I'm not worried about anything in the environment at this point. He's still pulling a bit, which we could work on. Good boy. So he stopped there. Good. So I'm just gently bringing him back, and it looks like the leash is pretty tight, and because it takes a good bit to get him to move back. He's not very sensitive. He's used to pulling, so it takes a while. This is kind of what it looks like in the beginning. That I'm just using just enough pressure to get him back. I'm really not yanking or jerking on him. I'm just putting enough, hand pressure on there to get him to move back just a little bit. And then we got the Star Lucy there. They're just hanging out. No problemo. So I think there's a person coming down the road here in just a minute. So we are going to slide to the left here before he notices that trigger. So that's your key. You want to notice the trigger before your dog does and try to avoid that. Keep them, their attention on you. If you can see it at a distance where your dog is still behind threshold, wherever you are in that little target circle, then you can start to tell them leave it once. And if they leave it alone, then reward happily, be really excited about that. So here he sees a squirrel. His dad said he saw a squirrel. I didn't even see it. So I'm more okay with him reacting to a squirrel than, a person, because that's a little bit more prey driven than defensive. Now, personally, I might recommend using for his harness, a leather leash, only for not for the purpose of jerking or popping, but only for the purpose of you get a better grip that way. And, by grip, I mean, that it slides less than the nylon. So you can use less power. It just gives you better grip than, the nylon ones or the silky slidey ones. You certainly do not have to go do that. I guess you could use rope leashes. You can use whatever you're most comfortable with, but I just like to use, leather just because it's, you have a good, grip to it if you need to. For a dog like this who pulls a lot, you don't want him to slide out of your hands. You don't need to get, arthritis or anything in your hands. So now I hand him off to Dad. He sees a person walk behind us. He's barking, but he's not lunging. That's his own choice. But you still see his lips are nice and long. He's still very nervous. His tail is high. Good. Okay, so Dad brings him back a little bit. Now Dad's going to get used to handling the leashes. So we want him to make sure to keep that head halter looser than the harness. And when he brings him back, it should be, steady, even pressure. There's no jerking or popping. And when working with these two leashes, it's pretty difficult. It's going to take some time to get used to. It's like, dealing with horse reins, basically. So I'm teaching him and his daughter to basically use a one rein stop, which means that so that jerk there was a little hard. I don't know if you saw that. Again, not that he intentionally meant to. It's just you're going to learn that with the head halter, you have a lot more power with very little pull. So that's why we always want to keep that leash as loose as possible. If Zeus does pull and that leash gets tight, he's basically correcting himself. So perfect here. He stopped him, moving back that little foot. He loosens. Good boy, Zeus. Good job, Mark. Mark is Dad. Mark is the human handling him, so he did a very good job there too. So this is getting used to, horse reins. So you're getting used to using one hand to correct either leash. So you're not getting jumbled with both hands. Okay, so Zeus is still pulling a little bit. So I am glad that at the point that we turned back. We turned back when we did, so we didn't get into that field. Happened to have a couple of, I think, LARPers, live action role players, people just chilling, fighting with their fake swords, doing whatever they do, throwing magic spells. I love it. So we had people running around, so that would have definitely set Zeus off. So we stopped while we were ahead. Good boy! This is perfect. When he's able to look at his person, and be that interacted with them, then you're perfectly behind threshold. That's what you want, wherever you're working. If Zeus doesn't do that, then you're a little bit over threshold. So we moved back because of this bicycle behind us. And at this point I say, look, you didn't even notice. And as I say that, he reacts to the bike. So now he's looking at a squirrel. We come back out. And so this area here, this whole park will probably be like the center of the target. Something you work up to. So this is just I guess, a test to see how well Zeus would do. Good. So he's looking at me. He's ready for that treat. I want to really reward him. Lucy's like, hey, where's my treat? I'm sorry, Luce. Look at those little eyes. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, Lucy. I didn't treat you. I feel so guilty. So now we're just chilling. So this right here, we're standing still. We're just chilling. That's perfect. That's what you want. You want to start there. When your dog can do that reliably for, 10, 15, 20 minutes, wherever you are, then you can start moving to different areas around that circle. Don't go into the center circle just yet. Move around the entire perimeter. You want your dog to be able to react just like that to the entire perimeter of the area that you're in lots of different environments. And then you can slowly move in. So if you imagine you're at, say, a Lowe's, has, they let little pet dogs in. Start in the parking lot. If you can stand there nice and gentle in the parking lot, then you can move to the, front of the store. Maybe you can go around the outside of the aisles, and then eventually you can go in and out of the aisles. That's kind of an example of, what you can do, with any general environment that you're in. Lucy finally got her snack. So here we have Lucy. Okay, so Zeus saw someone biking. There's that bicycle, okay? But here was perfect. She was able to move him away without any stress. Very little power. He moved away. He continued to go sniff on his own, so that was perfect right there. So I'm telling him, get really happy, get really excited, really reward for that. So now we're heading back. We're leaving, going back to... Lucy knows there's a treat in his hand. You guys are too cute. So now we're just chilling. So this body language right here, look at Zeus. He's a little bit more attentive. So I would say that this is warning sign. Watch for this. He's starting to get over threshold. So we kept on walking. And here there's also people playing disc golf and frisbee. And there's a few people here at this park. So this is definitely not what I would say would be your everyday outing with Zeus. You actually want to go when there's a lot fewer people and especially dogs, to start with in the beginning. It'll make it easier on him. Okay, so I moved him back a little bit. Good boy, he's starting to pull again. Okay, I like how that blue leash is loose. Okay, so he's trying to pull. So now he sees a little dog around the corner. So we were going to sit there and see if he didn't notice them. He did, so we're going to move back a few feet. Good, and he's able to walk away on his own. He kind of focused on Dad a little bit. So I would say here, he should move back a little bit more. Good, very good. Good boy, Zeus. Good job, Mark. Good, very good. This is him being a little more behind threshold. So Zeus saw something that kind of spooked him a little there. I'm not sure what that was. So he's still focusing on that little dog. I would say he's getting a little bit more over threshold. Here he's definitely going to be getting over threshold. So we're just going to try and power through and cross and get Zeus focused on anything else but this little doggy. Good, so he's over here sniffing. We're walking. Good boy. So I'd say even this behavior it's okay. He's still pulling a little bit. He's still very alert. So if you could get him down one peg from this type of body language, then that would be perfect. That would be your working level. Lucy's just looking for snacks everywhere. Okay, so he sees this little cart. Those could be very scary to dogs. Good boy. So he's able to move away from that right away. He's still very alert. He's barking. Letting people know he's nervous. Okay, good. So Mark's stopping him. Mark's slowing him down. Beautiful. And Lucy comes and gets her snack. Okay, so now we're heading back to the car now. Well, that does it for this video. I hope it helps everybody out, including Zeus's owners. For anybody that has any questions at all, feel free to comment in the comment section below, or go ahead and check out my website, k9tay.com, and feel free to leave me an email there. In this video, I wanted to show you the good and the bad, and that even professionals can make mistakes. But it's important to learn from those mistakes, so you can learn to be a better pet parent, professional, and just teach your dog more confidence. Well, thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you all enjoyed, and until next time, stay positive.